My amp unit. All right, so yesterday on the podcast, the 39th ever podcast, I dedicated a whole section and segment to the wild happenings from Saudi Arabia, or should I say post-show in Saudi Arabia, where most the entire crew and talent was stuck over in Saudi Arabia, abandoned over in Saudi Arabia. And the bizarre events that led up to it, and the bizarre stories that we're hearing coming out of it. That was yesterday. Now, early this morning, I posted some new information, right? The newest details that we had, the next installment of this crazy saga. If you guys didn't catch that video, at the end of this one, I'll try to keep this one short. And at the end of this one, it'll be up in one of these boxes up in the corner. Just click on that box, you'll see that information, nearly a 20-minute video. And here we are just a few hours later. I was not planning this impromptu video. We're just a few hours before Monday Night Raw. And we have AJ Styles' full transcript. AJ Styles is one of the first superstars that is speaking out in detail over what he experienced during this whole ordeal. And AJ Styles, we were hoping was going to clarify a little bit more for us, but instead, this just got even more bizarre. Listen to what Styles said, and I'm not going to go over all the new information that I already aforementioned earlier today. You guys are going to have to watch that video. I want to get you guys out as soon as possible right now for those that already caught that video. I don't want to just rehash everything. Go catch that video, and you'll know what I mean about all the latest information, because this just adds to the bizarre nature. But AJ Styles says, this is a quote, recent interview. Within the last 24 hours, this transcript came out. "We were supposed to leave after the show. We got to the airport, they weren't letting us board." Styles was like, "What's the problem?" "Not really sure. Heard that there was a fuel truck in the way. The guy who drove the fuel truck had to leave to go home." So hold on, right there. Are you telling me he parked it in front of the plane and then said, "Oops, clocking out"? That's not bizarre to anybody that the fuel truck was just stranded right in front of the plane and the guy just happened to go home? "I know, this makes no sense," AJ Styles says. "Why would the fuel guy leave if he knows he's got a plane that's leaving?" Yeah, Styles, we're all kind of thinking that. "Then there were some paperwork issues afterwards. So once they got the whole fuel truck thing out of the way, then all of a sudden these paperwork issues come to the forefront." Styles, again, doesn't know what paper issues there are. Nobody's telling him anything. "Finally, after at least 4 to 5 hours," again, this is a quote from AJ Styles, "after 4 to 5 hours, we finally get on the plane. Then they found something wrong. The fuel or something, or another was broke. People can say what they want, but I talked to the pilot on that 14-hour flight. The pilots, I guess they take naps as well. We were all chatting, sitting around on this flight, and he said, 'Listen, there's a problem. That's a real thing.'" Why is the pilot telling you that's a real thing? As if, like, what would be the need for somebody to say, "This is real, I promise"? What? He looked at AJ Styles and said, "This is a real thing," and if Styles asked him if it was real or not, then why would Styles feel the need to ask? Obviously, these superstars were knowing something isn't adding up here. This is weird, and nobody's telling us what's up. Styles went on. "The problem was we spent all that time from 1 o'clock all the way to 6 or 8 in the morning waiting to board this plane. They're telling us now we can't go anywhere, because now the pilots have to go and get rest." Styles said apparently pilots had been timed out, it's called. They can only go so long before they're not able to fly, because they're not able to go 24 hours at a time with no sleep, I guess. I mean, that makes sense. I don't want our pilots, riding around without a good fucking solid 6 to 7 hours at least, I would hope. So that's a good rule, but it adds to the bizarre nature. They spend all of this time. They come out with every weird thing in the book. A fuel truck parked, then the guy went home in front of the plane, and then he went home. Then all of a sudden there's this mysterious paperwork. Then once everybody's boarded, then they find a couple of mechanical issues. And then when everything's fine, they say, now the pilot has to go and get sleep. Everybody else just find a hotel for the night. You're not going anywhere. That doesn't seem all weird to you? And at this point, Styles and everyone else still doesn't know any direct reasoning for any of it. So Styles went on and said that they had to go back, meaning the pilots and everybody, and then all the superstars were left fending for themselves to go get hotels. Mark Carrano most definitely was obviously probably helping everybody try to find locations or where they can sleep for the night, making sure everyone got in touch with their families. And speaking of, Styles said, and I quote, "Were there people yelling, 'Everybody off the plane'? No, that never happened. My wife called me in a panic. She was scared to death. I go, 'Babe, listen, we're just not able to go anywhere. It's not a big issue. Nobody has threatened us. There's none of that going on. There was no threat or physical harm or anything like that, babe.'" So he's trying to reassure his wife. Aside from like wives and direct family, nobody was really thinking that they were under immediate or direct threat. Otherwise, that would be a huge global story right now. Nobody's saying that happened. What we're saying is there's more to this story, and even the superstars know there's more to this story. They know this. In fact, Styles actually said, "I don't know what happened between Vince and the King." So for Styles to say that knows that he's hearing rumblings that there's some tension and something went on. So I don't know what happened between Vince and the King, the Prince, or whatever it is. That's not my job to say anything. My job is to go to work. My job is to get home. Was I pretty angry about not going home because I missed my son's wrestling match? You have no idea. But if this is out of our hands, it is out of the pilot's hands, then there's nothing we can do. I'll deal with it when I need to, but I'm not going to throw WWE under the bus yet. That's not how I work. I am a guy who's committed to making the best product that I can, and it's not going to do me any good to throw good people under the bus. Good people? I would recheck that, AJ Styles. I don't know if Vince McMahon would be in the category of good people right now. He goes on to say, "There are a lot of good people that work for WWE, and I will not make them look bad. There are a lot of people that were on that plane with me. Until I know more, I'm not going to say anything. And if I find out and I was offended, I will go to the source. Believe me on that one." So he's saying he is going to find out more, and if he finds out that it is something that is unacceptable, he'll go right to the source, meaning McMahon. Good. More people need to do that. But be careful, if you do it, somebody like Seth Rollins may say you're not being a company team player. You're not one of the top 20, Styles. Which boggles my mind. I mean, that's everybody's top fucking 10 easily. So that's where we are with Styles' thing, and it didn't clarify anything. We were hoping that he could put this thing to bed for us, but no. He's basically saying they don't know anything. The superstars were held off of any real knowledge. The only thing this poor guy has, after going through that 10-hour flight ordeal and then being told he has to stay overnight at a hotel and they'll go back whenever they get the next flight available, the only thing he knows is, or he thinks he knows, is that a fuel truck blocked the plane and the guy ended up going home after he blocked it. Then paperwork, mysterious paperwork that he still doesn't know what it was about, appeared. And then after all that, when they boarded the plane, then they mysteriously had multiple malfunctions on the plane. Doesn't even know what it was. They were kept out of the loop. None of this is bizarre to you guys. Please, man. There is more to this fucking story, and I can't wait to find out what it is. And I'm sure these superstars can't wait to find out what it is. If you guys want to know the latest details, I did put them up earlier today. And we go over exactly why I feel there's more to the story and why a lot of people in the community feel there's more to this story in a direct conversation that I picked up over on Twitter from somebody who actually caught the event on Saudi TV, or where it was being broadcast in Saudi Arabia, and a reporter. And some really kind of interesting conversation took place on that kind of adds fuel to the fire that something more was put in play here than just malfunctions, paperworks, and a guy parking a fuel truck and leaving to go home because, oops, he didn't know he parked it there and he's got to clock out immediately. No, there's more. The Amplified Man was born at night, but it wasn't last night, baby. For now, we're just a few hours away from Raw. Catch it. Hopefully you guys are energized and entertained by it. Hopefully NXT shows up and adds a fucking pulse to this show tonight. And I'll see you guys in the morning to talk all about it. For now, the Amplified Man. Yow! Check you later.